Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Matt Adair and Jesse Klein. Jesse, it was a big win for Ranger football. Their first home win, their first home conference win of the season, the first home win for head coach Matt Walter, the first home win of 2015, all those big firsts, and it was a homecoming game in front of an incredible homecoming crowd. Northwestern knocks off Southeastern 31-16 against the Savage Storm. My first question for you, my longtime friend and colleague, did you see that coming?
Yeah, I'm actually going to say that I thought this was a winnable game, mainly just because it was homecoming. A lot of people remember last year's, game, and the halftime score was lopsided. The final score was lopsided. Southeastern and East Central both had great games against us last year. After we improved as much as we did the week before against East Central, I thought that, we always talk about this on this broadcast about not looking at scores and all that. When I saw that Southeastern and Southwestern, it was an 8-0 game, I just really thought that there was a chance if you take all those things into it. And then immediately when that game started, when we talked about that opening decision on the coin toss and the kicking into the wind with the wind at your back and driving, I felt really good about it. And, of course, it took about 3 plays for me to get really excited about what was going on because the Ranger defense was ready to go.
All right, 2-part question for you then, Jesse. How risky, one, and how odd, two, is it to see a coach decide to kick the ball twice, to open the game and at halftime?
Well, I guess technically
to elect
it
not
wasn't
to have a possession.
It wasn't guaranteed that we were going to kick twice. I mean, technically they deferred. They could have walked out and kicked the ball to us. I mean, that would be really crazy at was it 21-7 or 21-0 game at that point? I don't think they were really thinking about doing that. But it's rare. And it's a very situational driven call. I mean, if you talk to Coach Walter about it, he makes it sound like that it was kind of the exact setup to do it, and there may have been some other factors involved in it. But
Jesse, Twitter's been blowing up on this deal. Is Coach Walter a riverboat gambler?
Well, I mean, I like the call. I do. I like the way it went. I mean, if you have an opportunity to just really bury somebody early in the game, and you can change the makeup of the game, and I think what we did is we forced them in a situation where they didn't want to make a turnover into the wind on their side of the field as deep as they were going to be, and instead they really, their play calling was just, we were ready for it. Run, and then
look at what went into this, though. How many times prior to this game had the Rangers jumped out on anybody first?
None.
And yet, here we are, homecoming weekend, capacity crowd at Ranger Field, and a little bit of wind down there in the bowl, and Coach Walter says, you know what, this is going to be the week. This is where we do it. Mm-hmm. No, we don't need the ball. We'll kick to them. We want the wind.
I gave you your answer. I said it was situational. I mean, that's what the deal is. I mean, basically, they, when sitting there with that, and granted, it may the 5 minutes beforehand, the drama that started the game, that may have gone into Coach's decision as well as to his players were ready to get out there on the field.
Now,
talking in the end zone was interesting about.
I was going to say, just in case we've got a few people that join us on this show occasionally that haven't got to see the game and didn't get to be out there in the homecoming crowd. Number one, the Rangers kicked the ball twice. They kicked the ball to open the game. They kicked the ball to open the second half. Number two, as the teams came out of the locker rooms to take the field in the beginning of the game, prior to kickoff and all that, both teams happened to spill out of the locker rooms at the same time. They walked right around the goalpost, and then the next thing you know, it was mass chaos right in each other's faces, jumping, yelling, screaming. There was nothing bad about it. No punches thrown, no pushing, shoving. But it was certainly a lot of attitude from both sides.
I think our players saw something they didn't like. It was their time to come out on the field. It was their kind of presentation time period. And here's Southeastern over there hanging out, trying to steal our thunder, and maybe some other things. And just motivation. I mean,
more to the point. Back to the kicking twice thing. What's the variable there? How hard does the wind have to blow for you to choose to kick twice at Ranger?
Apparently harder than or apparently less than what I think, because I didn't think the wind was that bad Saturday. But I was in the comfy confines of the Ray Dean Linder press box where I couldn't feel the wind, but. No, I've seen that one other time. So there's your deal. I mean, I'm sure it happens more than what you might think. Just you have to watch every football game in the nation to see those kind of situations. But that's the second time I've witnessed it where the Rangers basically kicked off twice, and I don't think the last time it worked well for us. I've got the intent to call that coach that I'm pretty sure that it happened with and see how it worked for us.
You and me sat here at this table in this booth a couple of years ago and had this exact same conversation with Alan Hall about whether or not you take the win at Ranger Field. on certain days.
And he said you take the wind.
Actually, he said you didn't, because in that Southwestern game they chose not to, and the Bulldogs had a huge fourth quarter. That's the one I'm talking about. There was another time when he did, but it was after that.
Well, I don't remember us kicking both times, but we've spent 10 minutes talking about this. Are you going to bring Matt Walter into the broadcast?
Let's do that. Let's bring in the guy that made the call.
It's his show.
The head coach for Ranger football, right, in his broadcast. He can talk about whatever he wants. Coach, what did it ultimately come down to? That was a great call, by the way, a brilliant call, an insightful call, but how do you arrive at that?
I played here, remember?
That helps.
There we go.
No, I've seen it happen too many times, and we're in a unique situation at Northwestern where there is a win factor. No other school in our conference deals with it like we do, and we practice in it every day, and all week had been blowing about 25 miles an hour, and
now
we saw our own kickers kick into it all week. So
I've got this vision of you standing down somewhere about the 50-yard line and picking up some of the grass stubble, that rubber, and kind of throwing it up in the air to get a gauge on this, or was this a decided factor prior to?
During pregame,
game time decision, or
during pregame, I talked to the captains and told them what I was going to do, and they're all for it. And defensive captains were really for it, and they said, "Hey, we got you. Let's go."
Well, Coach, it was brilliant for the conditions at Ranger Field. It was a phenomenal call.
You win the toss, you'd have deferred and kicked to him.
No, we won and took.
No, I said if you would have won the toss, you would have deferred, or do you take the ball?
We did win the toss.
Oh, the referees reported to us that
Randy
Southeasterns won the toss,
no,
and
we won
they
the toss, and
that's why we were that much more baffled by what happened.
We took the wind.
Okay, see, we had heard that they deferred.
No, we took the win. Then they had the choice.
Yeah, so they did.
Whether
they won and
to
deferred.
kick it or take the ball. And they took the ball because they would have had to kick in the wind.
Okay, so we won and took the win. There we go.
We took the win.
That puts some light on a little bit more of it. Okay, let's look at the game and how it ran down, Jesse. The Rangers come out hot in the first period. 4:06 left on the clock. Reed Miller hits a 17-yard run to the end zone. It capped off a 6-play, 35-yard drive to give the Rangers a 7-0 lead. At the 1:35 mark, so just some 3 minutes later, Jason Gentry catches a 29-yard pass from Miller, and the Rangers are up 14-0. And then at the 14:36 mark, just after the second quarter had started, Zach Doyle takes a 5-yard pass from Reed Miller, and the Rangers are up 21-0 before you know what's going on.
Even that touchdown was set up because of the wind, because they had to punt at the end of the first quarter into the wind. They didn't. They chose not to punt. They ran one of the worst plays I've seen at Ranger Field in a long time, where they basically faked a punt and didn't get anything. Ended up giving us the ball on the 15-yard line, and it took us, I think, 3 plays to score from there. So,
and that's actually why I stopped there, Coach Walter. It looked like maybe it was an attempted fake punt, or they were at least trying to run the punt out to the side. Nevertheless, you guys get in the backfield, stop them immediately. Were you looking at that as a coach and going, what a gift?
Yeah.
Was he a left-footed kicker? Because if not, he wasn't rolling.
He wasn't their normal punter either.
Oh.
So I don't.
It's all right.
I'm baffled by the call, honestly. I don't know what they were doing. I don't.
Well, you guys
didn't work.
Took it into the end zone, and a great call. Zach Doyle was as wide open as he's probably been coming out of the backfield on that pass. First time this year, I think we've seen Zach in a out of the backfield receiving type role. I don't know for sure, but I think that went down as his first reception of the season, if he didn't have one other in this game. But certainly his first receiving touchdown of the game. You guys are out 21-0, and things are rolling. You had to have felt good. This is the first time you guys have jumped out, taking the lead against somebody, and you did it in such great fashion. Three tremendous drives.
It felt great to, start off faster. And we had, if you look at that game, and we're going in to score, and Zach fumbles.
Yeah.
The first series that we have the ball, and it was just kind of, our kids weren't going to let it go south. They just kept pushing hard and keeping the pressure on. And once it was 21-0, it's a different game. It's a totally different game as a play caller, and you can call it based on how your defense is playing instead of having to try to play catch up. And it's a lot more comfortable role as a play caller than I've had all year, honestly.
Well, to keep from talking about one player twice, we'll talk about Joby here in a minute. But defensively, Jordan Norris again comes out 2
almost
picks.
3.
Could have had a third. Actually predicted during the game that or before the game that how do you top 2? Last week he goes 3, and then and really he had at least 2 opportunities for one. He missed one early in the first half.
Chose to bat one down.
Yeah. So, but That's 14 days, basically, the win by, and he has 6 picks in 3 different ball games. You got to feel good with the guys, with the way he's playing. He doesn't get a defensive nod, for a player of the week in the GAC because he's already maybe gotten one previously, or at least got some recognition. But I mean, that's a great stretch for a player of 6 picks in 3 games.
Oh yeah, he's playing great right now, playing at a very high level, really seeing the ball, seeing the receiver routes well, and matching the routes that they're running at him, and breaking on the ball well. Goodest stretches I've seen in maybe ever in my.
And it's kind of a compliment to the guy that's on the other side of the field that's a freshman, because he's got some picks himself. And really, that little freshman ought to be the guy getting the big head, because they keep throwing it Jordan's way, and they're not throwing it the other guy's way. And so they must be. It's kind of the lesser of two evils, or whatever.
Maybe they're seeing on film that. Eric's just blanking in the guys and had a couple picks himself the last 2 games. So he's playing at a high level for a freshman. He's been pretty impressive.
Now, Coach, one of the adjustments that they did make, and Jesse, you actually kind of key on it, they started out really trying to throw to Jordan Norris's side, and they were looking for Frankie Okafor, who's one of their primary targets.
Yeah.
Late in the game, they started running 1st and 2nd down with Okafor lined up against Jordan Norris, and then on 3rd and 4th down, when they were forced, they would change him sides of the field, try and draw a different matchup with him, and Jordan looked like he shadowed him, but certainly tried to go away from Norris to some extent.
Yeah, towards the end of the game, we were playing such a soft zone coverage. We just weren't going to get beat over the top, and a lot of those yards they got were, I don't want to say gimme yards. Nothing's a gimme.
Well, no, but it was. You 7 yards.
You'll accept 5 and stop 50.
You just didn't want. You didn't want 20.
We just didn't want a quick score, because we were up by 15 points at that point, and you just don't want to let them have a quick score. And we were going to allow the quick score, and then fortunately we didn't allow a score at all.
Well, after the Rangers are up 21-0, Okafor catches his first touchdown of the day, a 9-yard pass, and that makes the score 21-7. They follow that up with a 23-yard field goal, and it's 21-10 with 6:08 left to play in the 3rd. And then Reed Miller finds Arte Mura Jr., who has been a real breakout wide receiver. First year as a Ranger, he's a transfer player, but a 45-yard hit that Reed threw really, really well into what looked like double coverage that kind of split, and Mura had him beat behind.
Yeah, it was a scramble drill, and the primary target wasn't open, so Reed rolled out to his right and found Arte deep, and Arte made a pretty good catch on a distraction ball with 2 guys in front of him, and kind of stumbled into the end zone.
Because they really did run. Those defenders just basically hit each other, and it almost looked like the waters parted, and here came the ball.
The impressive thing is the way that they came together almost blinded Arte from the ball.
He couldn't see. He almost we worked that drill, distraction drill, or concentration drill, all the time, where you have 2 guys crossing in front of him, and they have to catch it. And it was one of those honestly rare instances where the exact drill you run worked exactly the way you run it.
Takes place on the field.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't usually happen that way. You usually get some aspects of it, but not the exact thing.
Well, Mura scores with 4:23 left to play in the 3rd. The Rangers will then kick a field goal at the 12:31 mark in the 4th for their final score. Southeastern gets a late score, 1:54 left on the clock for their final of the game, and that closes out the score at 31-16. The quarter-by-quarter looked like this. Northwestern scored 14 points in the 1st, 7 in the 2nd and the 3rd, 3 in the 4th for their 31. Southeastern was blanked in the 1st quarter, scored 7 in the 2nd, added only a field goal in the 3rd, and then scored a 6-point scored 6 in the 4th period of play, and then obviously they did not convert on their point after attempt. So that's the end of it.
They got held out of the end zone late, too. So.
Yeah, and then they were stopped again at the very final seconds of the game, as the Rangers have yet another 4th down and goal to go from the 1 big defensive stand and turn away another opponent.
And you know what's great about that is, there's 1 second. They put another second back on the clock because of a penalty. And no matter what, if they score, we win. Don't score, we win. They can't kick an onside or anything. Game is over. And our guys still bucked up and stopped them, kept them out of the end zone. That shows a lot. They didn't want them to score. They already knew. We could have not had a whole defense on the field. They score, and the game's over anyway.
But not only that, they were on the one. The penalty was against the Rangers for encroachment, so they got it on the half-yard line and still got stopped.
Yep.
I would argue the penalty really wasn't against the Rangers, but that's neither here nor there. Someone else argued that.
You objected plenty loud from the box. Coach, you guys pick up 20 first downs in the game, give up 25 to Southeastern. 3 of those coming on penalties for them, just 1 first down as a result of a penalty for the Rangers. 11 passing first downs for Northwestern, 8 rushing first downs. You guys rushed for 128 yards in the game. Last Wednesday,
let me back that up real quick. Okay. We rushed for a lot more than that. They gave us negative 21 yards on Will on the bad snap on the punt for Will. So I don't count that.
So they took 21. They take 21 off of that.
Off of our rushing total. Correct.
So that would have put you at 150 nearly.
That's what we had.
So the Rangers rushed for 150 in the game. Thank you for the correction. We always appreciate that. Coach, we talked last Wednesday about Southeastern specifically really focusing on rushing the football. They had 2 really good running backs in this game that we knew that they were going to try and utilize in different ways and throw different things at you, but they wanted to push the ball forward on the ground. You guys stopped them for 42 yards in the entire game, 42 rushing yards. I believe their lowest total of the season.
They gave up on the run too. You could tell. It just wasn't working for them, and that was what was great about it is, we jump out so quick, and then they can't even try to continue to rush the ball. And when they did, we were stopping it, and we really made them one-dimensional. Anytime you make a team truly one-dimensional, it makes it awfully tough for them to win.
Now, Coach, we got to talk just a second about this. The stat sheet shows Southeastern rushed the ball for 100 yards and then lost 58 yards on negative plays. That has to be a feather in the cap for the defense.
Oh, yeah. I think Joby had 48 or 49 on his own.
Yeah.
So, that's great. The negative plays, you want to get a bunch of the tackles for loss, and we did that. And like I said, we just made him one-dimensional, which helps.
Reed Miller back on track this game. He was 24 of 39, no picks in the game. A phenomenal passing performance by Reed Miller. Total offensive yards for the Rangers, a 364-yard game. 79 plays for you. That's down from 98 last week, but when you can get up 21, you certainly slow the pace a little. Yeah,
we had 11 minutes of possession in the fourth quarter going into the wind where and this is not like me, this is very hard for me to do. I pretty much waited until there was 10 seconds left to call the play on the play clock and really ran the clock.
We never talked about that.
I don't do that very often, but that was the case where you need to do that.
Yeah, but that was and I thought in the first quarter you also did some things, time, clock management deal. When you say, you can talk about that
that way. Timeouts.
Yeah, you use them, but there's absolutely no reason not to. You got great field position because of using those. That's exactly what they're for. And you don't get to carry them over to the second half, so why not use them? That's why they give them to you 3.5.
Coach, you guys are 6 of 17 on third down conversions, probably just a bit below where you'd like to be, but it was certainly good enough for this game. You hold them to just 6 of 18 on third down, where they've been relatively effective. We're ranked in the top 5 in the conference, I believe, in third down conversions coming into this game.
Yeah, we still weren't. We weren't happy with our third down conversions offensively. That was one of our, I wouldn't say bad, but one of our points of emphasis that evaluating the game after the game that we didn't do a real good job at, that we wanted to do much better. We got to do better than that. That's about 35%. Our goal is 45%, so we got to do better.
Coach,
defense did great, though. Defense got off the field, and they did a great job.
And they put Southeastern in a lot of very awkward positions, a lot of third down and longs. Yep. Certainly they weren't comfortable offensively nearly all game long.
No.
Coach, Reed Miller is your leading rusher, picks up 47 yards on the ground, has a touchdown where he ran for 17 yards. On that quarterback keeper, your first score of the game, Reed takes it into the end zone. He's untouched. Is that by design, or was that something Reed saw and took advantage of?
No, it was completely on him. That was a pass play. And he scrambled. And, before the East Central game, the games leading up to East Central, I kept telling him, try not to run the ball, try not to take a hit, be smart. Going into the East Central game, I told him, hey, run the ball and get out of bounds, run the ball, get down, whatever, but run the ball. And that's helped him open up the entire offense a lot because he can run. He's he's a lot faster than people think. He's a high 4.5 40 guy. He can run.
And he's a big guy, too.
And he's big, but I still don't want to taking the hits. And, he used his legs and saw an opening and took it and scored.
And he does slide, and he's doing a lot of that. I mean, he's trying
not to take hits, but he's also taking advantage of the opportunities he has to run the ball when it's open. Because a lot of teams are playing coverage against us because we throw the ball so well now that they're kind of leaving him back there to run, trying to cover up all the receivers, and he's, again, making them pay for that.
Coach Reed closes out the day with 3 passing touchdowns. He used 8 different receivers in this game and spread the ball around very effectively. Schonbacher with 5 catches. Charles Davis Jr. out of the backfield with 5. Tudman with 4, who moved all over, played every position offensively on the field as far as skill positions go, except for quarterback. Arte Mura had 3 grabs. Gentry had 3, and the list goes on and on. 3 passing touchdowns for your team, a rushing touchdown, and a field goal. You guys got it done on all phases this time, right?
Right. Yeah, we left 14 points out there. We fumbled 2 times inside the 5-yard line. Not very happy with that. We got a lot of against a tighter situation game. Those are going to really hurt, and we got to do a better job of protecting the football in those instances. And, we're going in to score, and we look at it as we should add 14 more points.
Coach, kind of an odd thing for the Rangers that's just developed. It's one of those awkward storylines, but seemed like odd weeks tended to favor the Rangers, even weeks not so much. However, here in back-to-back games, a really good showing against East Central and now a victory against Southeastern. Do you feel like this team is really starting to see the path that you guys have tried to coach them into?
I think so. We still stumble at times, especially in practice when I think, like yesterday, I thought we had a great day today, and I thought yesterday we didn't have such a good day. And those championship teams play at a championship level, no matter if it's at practice or in the games. And we still got to continue to basically beat that into our kids' heads. That, hey, you got to practice like a championship team every day. You can't just go out there and play like it. So, those are still things that we're trying to learn as a team and trying to learn how to approach that like a business every single day and like a game every single day, so that when the game time comes, it is more relaxed and is fun.
Coach, 7 penalties for 34 yards. Are you happy with the way your guys are playing as far as penalties are concerned?
Yeah, we're playing pretty clean right now, playing real clean. So I'm real proud of them for how clean they're playing, and 2 of those penalties are on coaches. So we only had 5 penalties as players. So just leave it at that. But
let's see, Jesse.
2 penalties on coaches.
34 penalty yards in the game, 7 penalties. 2 penalties against coaches that were 15 yards apiece. That means
no. His is a half.
That's right.
His is a half yard.
Technical about it was about 17 inches.
Yeah, he basically didn't. Now Lemke's was a little bit worse.
15-yard penalty. The ref ran into him. He was in the ref area, the wide area you can't be in, and it's a mistake that we can't have, and he knows it, and it won't happen again.
Well, there we go. Coach, you've got another big one coming up this week. Oklahoma Baptist comes to town for the second week of our 2-week homestand. We're going to talk with you about the Bisons coming up in 4th down. Great win this week, and congratulations on that first home win and your first homecoming win as a head coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we're going to take a break and be back with Second Down. Me and Jesse will talk about the action across the Great American Conference. You're listening to AM 1430 KALV. Welcome back to Champ Sports and Spirits. Matt Adair, Jesse Klein, bringing you all the action from inside the lines. Our show with head coach for Ranger football, Coach Matt Walter. Jesse, let's take a look at how the conference ended up this week. Oklahoma Baptist loses at Southern Arkansas. Final in that game is 38-20, but it was a good showing by Baptist. Southeastern falls to Northwestern 31-16 here in Alva. Arkansas Tech picks up a victory over Ouachita 30-12. We're going to pause there for just a second. Probably one of the bigger games in the conference this week. Ouachita and Ark Tech. Did this solidify Ark Tech as a team at the top of the conference?
Yes. I don't think there's any doubt they're going to be. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win the conference because they're tied right now, I believe, with Henderson. It's also at 5-1, and Henderson. But we've seen Henderson, and I don't think Henderson's the Henderson team of old. We may have had a really, really, really good game against Henderson, better than even though we lost that ball game. But I'm telling you that Tech is scoring a lot of points and winning big contests. So,
and we had wondered if Arkansas Tech wasn't a fluke, and it looks more and more like maybe they're not.
I think we both took Tech took Ouachita last week, didn't we?
I think we both did.
Yeah.
So Arkansas Tech finishes 30-12 over Ouachita Baptist. Arkansas Monticello picks up a win against Southern Nazarene, still winless in the conference is Nazarene. It was 51-10 in favor of Monticello, a team that Northwestern cleaned out. Is the road just that much worse for Southern Nazarene? Are they starting to lose heart, you think?
I talked about a bet. If they'd lose 100 games in a row, they winless the rest of this decade, whatever you want. I don't know. There's probably...
Well, it looks to me as though their point totals are just becoming less and less.
Yeah,
the games are getting bigger and bigger.
I'm afraid it's time for change. So,
and of course, a different coach down there at Southern Nazarene this year. So maybe they're starting some stuff.
So there has been a change.
a little change, but apparently doesn't show up on the scoreboard yet.
I guess not. I didn't realize the head coach had changed.
A little bit. Southwestern 38, East Central 31. That's a heck of a shootout. Southwestern comes away with a victory against East Central, who was in a real game against the Rangers and now in a real game against the Bulldogs. 38-31. That's a 7-point game. That was a close one down there.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, this Dr. and Jekyll, whatever Southwestern team, don't score any points for 2 weeks, then go back to scoring plus 30.
On a good East Central team.
I don't know. That's scary. I'm just glad that's the last week. But here's the deal. They're 3-3 right now. Guess who their next opponent? Two opponents are. Baptist. Well, actually, SNU, then Baptist.
And then Baptist.
Yeah, they're on the exact same schedule. They also are going to play Tech and Harding in the same switch with us, too, and then we'll meet at the end. It's kind of a weird setup. So they're going to probably have a 2-game lead on us regardless when we get into that last game. So.
Yeah, and then one of the oddities of the conference, Jesse, we've talked about parity each and every week. The only road team to get a victory this week, Henderson State, and they beat Harding 22-17 in Searcy.
Well, that's a little more of an in-state deal with them. I'm sure that's, it's not the same travel distance. It's not all that stuff. And Henderson, that's one of those teams that Harding may have just thought they were going to lose to a Henderson team. So, I don't know. We didn't see that game. I'd like to watch it. But we'll talk about the games coming up this next week. I'm curious. I think East Central and Harding play this coming weekend. And there's a game that I want to see. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But
coming up next week.
Yeah.
Not this coming week, but the next.
Oh, okay. But anyway.
For next week, the game slate looks like this. Southwestern will be at home against Southern Nazarene. East Central at home against Arkansas Tech. Northwestern at home against Oklahoma Baptist. The first time these two teams will meet as conference opponents in the Great American Conference. Southern Arkansas will take on Ouachita Baptist in Southern Ark in Magnolia. Southeastern will be in Durant to take on Harding, which again could be a telltale game.
That's what I'm thinking of.
And Arkansas Monticello will be at home against Henderson State. Arkansas Tech, like we said, on the road against East Central. That's going to be one to watch as well, though.
I agree. We'll have to. I probably am on the Arkansas Tech bandwagon. We'll do that before we close the game. We'll make our picks.
Every game is going to be kicked off at 2 p.m. except Monticello and Henderson. They will kick at 3, so we'll have updates throughout the broadcast this Saturday. From the Great American Conference this week, we have got our Players of the Week, and it handed out like this. The Great American Conference co-offensive Players of the Week, Brian Allen, the running back from Forest City, Arkansas for Arkansas Tech. He turned in the second-best rushing performance in Tech history as the Wonder Boys beat number 20 in the nation, Ouachita Baptist, for the first time since 2007. Allen ran for 279 yards. Co-offensive Player of the Week, Hunter Leppert of Arkansas Monticello. Leppert became the first Weevil quarterback to throw 5 touchdowns in a single game since 2003, turning the most efficient game of his career. He was 25 of 32 for 398 yards. He finished with 431 yards of total offense and led the Weevils in their first 600 yards of total offense in a game since 2008. The Defensive Player of the Week, Northwestern's own Joby St. Fleur from Winter Haven, Florida. St. Fleur tied the Great American Conference single-game record with 4 sacks as the Rangers defeated Southeastern Oklahoma State. He tied a mark originally set by former ECU All-American and current Cleveland Brown Anthony Bryant. Joby finished with 7 total tackles in the game, 5 tackles for a loss, a forced fumble, and a pass breakup. And then the Special Teams Player of the Week was Jonathan Weisheidt of Southern Arkansas. Wide receiver and punt returner Weisheidt had the best game of his career as a punt returner last week against Oklahoma Baptist as he helped turn the field position in the game in favor of the Mule Riders. In the game, he totaled 99 yards on 5 punt returns with a long of 29, so kind of a slow week for Special Teams players.
That was a really slow week. I got 5 punts. I got 99 yards. Well, it's still not bad. I'll tell you what, before we talk to that Defensive Player of the Week for the GAC Conference, let's look at the D2 football top 25 poll that's come out. No changes in the top 5. Minnesota State, West Georgia, Ferris State, Sioux Falls. Gosh, that just bothers me. One of these days we're going to get to play them again. Northwest Missouri. Now, here's where you need to be looking at. no one got a chance to ask Coach Walter what happened in Emporia last weekend, but Emporia State beat Pitt State.
Whoa!
46-42. Emporia State is now 6-0 on the year. They've now jumped to number 16 in the poll. They were only 19 last week. Pittsburgh State falls from 9 to 20 this week after the loss to Emporia. So Emporia State, former Ranger head coach Garen Higgins, 6-0 up there in Emporia. Matt Walter was just there last year, guys, and he talks about a quarterback that's playing for them, that's playing lights out, best D2 quarterback in the nation. He says, guess where he's from? Ponca City.
Oh, you're kidding me.
And I bet Ponca City, I mean, I'm going to say this, if anybody's listening, I'm just saying this because I don't remember Ponca City winning 10 games during that stretch that he would have been there. So he must have been one of those quarterbacks that went up and became awesome. So, but anyway, I checked it all out on the line, saw a picture of Garen and everyone. So D2 top 25, no GAC teams. Whoop, hold on, I'll take that back. Arkansas Tech slips into the D2 top 25 for the first time this year after being not ranked. So no one else. Oh, they're at 23.
Well, that's not bad. The biggest surprise on this top 25 ranking for Division II football is after their loss to Texas, OU shows up at number 26 in the D2 poll.
You're funny.
That's what happened.
That's funny.
That's where we are. All right, so let's welcome to the box Joby St. Fleur, the Rangers defensive end, this week's Great American Conference Player of the Week. Joby, it was like they didn't like you. Nobody wanted to touch you. Nobody wanted to block you. They just let you own the field. Did you feel that way during the game?
I kind of felt that way. You know, when I started feeling the game, how the game was going, seemed like they couldn't stop me.
4 sacks. Have you had a collegiate game in your career yet where you were just that unabated to the quarterback? And I say unabated. The sad thing is, Jesse, I saw a picture that somebody from Northwestern actually took during the game. Joby is in the process of making a sack, and he's being held so strongly that the left side of his jersey has been stretched to the right side of his body. Somebody holding him like that, and he's still got the quarterback going to the ground.
Did they even call holding this week?
I don't think that they did. I think they looked at Joby and said, that guy's just too big. We can't penalize anybody for holding him. That's all you can do.
Lots of good moves out there, though. You feel good, playing good right now, obviously. Is it just coming together up there on the line, or is just been waiting for that opportunity to break out?
Oh, man, I think we just getting, started buying in with what Coach has going on. Everybody started buying in with Coach saying, rapping to the ball, and it's just going hard every time.
Now, Joby, the linebacking core has been really incredible here lately. Devin Payton, Brandon Cannon, even Derek Thompson, who's playing a little D-end right now. Those guys have been racking up a good number of tackles in each game, and I'm going to tell you, I'm certain that as linebackers, they love the fact that you've got 4 sacks in that game, because now you're going to be drawing all kinds of double teams and everything else, leave them a little open in the middle, right?
Yeah, you're right. Whatever's best to help the team, that's what they take. Now they got to worry about other people instead of me now.
Now, Joby, let's talk about physical, just what you can do out there on the field. How tall are you, one?
I'm sitting at 6'5".
6'5", and what do you weigh?
Around 240.
6'5", 240-pound defensive end that can move like lightning. I want to pick on you about one thing. I think your vertical is probably, I don't know if you could dunk on a 12-foot goal, but it looked like you could. You got up in the air to break up one of those passes. In fact, it hit you right in the gut. Had you had your hand 6 inches lower, you'd have had a pick and maybe a touchdown. Was that kind of an exciting moment?
Oh, man, if I knew it was coming, I was going to catch it, but I didn't know. So I ain't expected it to come at me like that. But, yeah, if I did, I thought I would have taken it to the house.
We got a good set of bookends out there with you.
And Theo.
And I mean, everybody that can kind of roll in. And what the nice thing is right now is that you get rolling and they try to block you. Then, here's Theo's chance. And the same thing, kind of works both ways. I mean, they can't block you both.
Oh, no.
And really, so you may win out this week, but he may get, the opposite end may get a bunch more opportunities just because now they've seen it. Oklahoma Baptist is going to try to find a way to put something on you to stop you this coming weekend. It may be Theo's big week.
Are you worried about the fact that right now in the Oklahoma Baptist locker room, they've got a picture of big number 9 up there and saying, hey, we're going to go after this guy. He's not going to get a sack.
Oh, man, I'm not worried about it.
Is that a challenge? You like that challenge?
Oh, that's a challenge, but, I still got my teammates next to me, so they put at least as many people as want to stop me. It's going to open up the doors for the other people.
Exactly.
So.
Now, Joby, I watched them throw man-on-man blocks on you. I watched them double-team you. I watched them hold you. In one instance, I watched them tackle you, and you still had probably one of the better games I've seen from a Rangers defensive end in my career as a broadcaster. It just seemed like you were unstoppable. Was it something that you saw? Whatever meal you ate, are you going to follow that exact same pattern coming up this week?
Oh, I think I might have to.
Joby, it was an impressive performance. You've seen Oklahoma Baptist on film. When you watch watch them, do you look and see opportunities for yourself coming this Saturday?
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of opportunities coming with the hard work we're putting in right now. So I just, plan to go do the same thing, just go out there and just play football.
Well, Joby, I would take 4 sacks in every game from here on out, but if you could, just for the broadcast guys, 1 interception. Just go get 1, take it back to the house. We'll bring you out here for another meal at Champs.
I'm going to give you 2 opportunities. First, it's a little bit different this week. Not a team that we know. Nobody's got any preconceived notions. You don't know the guy that's lining up on the other side of you. You've been staring at film all week. Have you been able to take them from film and figure out, what they might be athletically, who you're expecting on the other side of that offensive line from you?
Oh, man, as I'm looking, as I looked at the roster and then look at their size different, I'm like, one of the tackles is like the same as Southeastern, and the other one just a little bit bigger than them. So basically, I'm not really looking too much forward to what they're going to do. I'm just going to get ready to play some football.
I like that.
All right,
Warriors
the last
attitude.
thing. I've stopped doing this and I forgot about it. All right, so you hail from where?
I'm here from Winter Haven, Florida.
All right, so school you played at, high school start. You're going to get a chance to shout out to somebody.
Give us
why
your
not? You might as well go ahead and say I'm an Alva Goldbug. I was a Northwestern Ranger. Well, just go ahead and give us a little bit of your background and just any shout outs you want.
Oh man, I'm from Winter Haven, Florida. I went to Lake Region High School. It's in Polk County, Florida. One of the counties in Central Florida. So, and I give a shout out to my family right now that's listening to it right now.
See, I knew there might be something hooked up on the internet listening to us. So,
Joby, it was a heck of a game. You more than earned your Defensive Player of the Week honors. 4 sacks, 7 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, a forced fumble, a pass breakup. I don't know that you can have a stat line more impressive than that. Big shoes to fill next week, young man.
Oh, yes, sir.
And it was good build-up. East Central was a good game for him. I know we didn't come out at the end of it. We kind of talked about you during the broadcast last week. We actually left you this week. We decided to drop your name from the key player deal so give you a little motivation. I know you can't hear what we're talking about, but your family had been listening like, well, they're not picking Joby this week. And I'm like, well, we're not picking. Then you went out and had a great deal.
Yeah, not a mistake we will make anymore. I promise you that.
So.
Joby, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you out there next weekend.
Thank you.
All right, Joby St. Fleur, the GAC Conference Defensive Player of the Week this week, and the Rangers defensive end, and he is a man among boys on the field. You can there's never an instance where you can't see him out there.
No, I really, since he started playing, I've enjoyed watching him. To me, this is when he was younger, he looked a little bit, a little leaner, a little lankier, and I was just like, how is he so impressed? I mean, how does he do that? And then now you see him with the height, and you see him and what he can do physically, and that's what it takes. He can make a lot of moves and throw people around.
Well, that guy's got to turn sideways to get outdoors. He's just huge.
Yeah.
So there it is. We're going to take a quick break. Be back with head coach for Ranger football, Matt Walter, to talk about the Oklahoma Baptist Bison, the true OBU in the GAC Conference. When we get back, you're listening to Inside the Lines on AM 1430 KALV. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Jesse Klein, Matt Adair, and the head coach for Northwestern Oklahoma State University, Coach Matt Walter. Coach, we welcome the Bison of Oklahoma Baptist University to Ranger Field for the first time in a very, very long time, for the first time ever as a Great American Conference opponent. Can you tell us a little bit about the Bison?
Yeah, I mean, they defensively, they play a kind of unorthodox defense, or a 50 front defense. If you remember the old Chicago Bears 46, is similar principles to that. They're always going to have 7 guys in the box daring you to throw the ball. So that's what you're going to see defensively. From their offense, you're going to see a very athletic quarterback, a very stout run game, and they're going to try to pound it at you quite a bit. So that's what we're going to see.
Daring you to throw the ball. Does their defensive secondary live up to the hype?
Yeah, at times. I mean, they're athletic and they got some team speed. And I mean, they present some problems because it's so unique what they do. It's somebody. I mean, there's some carryover in preparation from team to team. Usually, there's not a lot of carryover from playing the last 6 opponents we played to Oklahoma Baptist defensively. They're doing stuff that you don't see all year, and then all of a sudden you got to get ready for them. It's like getting ready for the triple option on offense. All of a sudden you got to get ready for that, and you haven't been practicing against anything like it all year. It presents a lot of problems and challenges.
Coach, something that we didn't touch on earlier that I'm going to hit on now. Last week, Wednesday night, we talked about the Rangers following the East Central game, a 70-30 pass-to-run offensive attack from Northwestern. You have told us time and time again you like the fast pace of the pass game. You want to spread the field and go after guys. This week, though, a little change in the weather. 40 rushing attempts, 39 pass attempts for the Rangers. Are we a run-first ball club now?
No. It just works out that way sometimes.
No.
Next question.
It works out that way.
We were going to do that sometime. I can't even think of what the line we were. So.
Just interesting. More rushing attempts than passing attempts for the first time this season. Certainly something else for OBU to see on film, though, is that the rushing game really evolving for Northwestern. Yeah. Are you happy with where you've been able to get it to? Is there more progression to come?
Oh, yeah. You always got to get better and progress. And it's kind of funny. It just took us a while to get our run game going and get what we want to do. And with this group of offensive line and running backs, trying to figure out what we could do well and what they were comfortable doing. There's a million different schemes out there, but you got to narrow it down to the ones you're good at, and it took us a while to figure that out, honestly.
Coach, the Bison have been a tough team to figure out, kind of an up and down team. First game of the week, or first game of the season, they roll out and take, East Central Harding to overtime. Stumbled in week 2.
Lose by 1.
Come back and have a heck of a game in week 3. Go down for a couple of weeks and come back last week and have another tight one. Judging them on film, since we've never seen them live, they're for us, for me and Jesse, they're like every other team you've had this year in the conference. Never seen them live. Can you get a handle on them? Is it just different games? They show up differently? Is it what different teams are doing to them?
Yeah, matchups. And I said this before. A lot of teams, certain teams present totally different problems for others that may not occur for a different team, if that makes sense. That's why it's hard to look at scores and try to compare. Oh, they beat so-and-so by this amount of points. Well, they should be able to beat this team. Well, it doesn't work that way. That's why you got to play the game, and matchups create the game, and I think that they present some unique matchups for certain teams.
Do you feel confident in having your pulse on what they do well as far as run, pass, defense?
Yeah, I think we know what they like to do, and by knowing what they like to do, I think you can scheme what you want to do and game plan what you want to do around that. Of course, everybody's going to have different wrinkles that they're going to put in week to week. And, those are the adjustments you make during the games. So I think that we've done a phenomenal job, both offensively and defensively, of making adjustments thus far. And we got to continue to do that to progress this program forward and get to where we want to be.
Coach, the last time your team came home and was playing in a home game following a win, arguably one of the lesser performances of the season in week 2, are you worried at all about the guys going in maybe overconfident against a young conference team like Oklahoma Baptist?
Well, you always worry about that. You worry about how they handle success. I said before you got to have a psychology degree anymore to coach anything, because the way the kids' mentalities are these days, and those are some things that you deal with and you worry about as a coach. And maybe I probably worry about it too much, but you definitely worry about how they're going to handle a win like that, a big win, emotional win,
homecoming, all that stuff.
Homecoming, and then coming back to probably the worst time ever to have fall break. After homecoming, somebody's got to talk to somebody about that schedule. That's terrible.
Now, Coach, fall break brings up an interesting point. Do your guys get days off? Do you work all the way through? Is it a normal week for them minus class, or is there some
normal week
time?
Minus class? The spare times they don't have class.
Right.
So it's.
But you don't have anybody leaving and going home to Nebraska for a day or two and then coming back.
Nope.
I guess Nebraska.
It's not Thanksgiving break. What are you talking about? Come on.
Okay. So Baptist coming in. They're young in the conference. We've covered all of that. Coming off of this win. Crowd, I hate to credit the crowd with having any kind of a factor, but certainly was a big rush to be celebrating a victory at the end of homecoming, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was a good feeling personally and professionally, I guess. And the kids, it's always good to see them, get to enjoy all their hard work. That's what game day's for, and especially when you win and getting to see them celebrate with their friends and families is truly enjoyable.
Coach, you talk about needing a psychology degree to be a coach anymore. Kind of need one to be a broadcaster, too. I've been blasted by coaches for thinking like this. I've been patted on the back for coaches for thinking like this. Do you believe in the theory of a trap game? And if so, is this potentially a trap game?
No.
looking down the road at Southern
Nazarene. He doesn't believe in the theory of trap game movie.
No.
Yeah, is that the first one? Don't believe in trap games?
No. I think it's all, how you get as a coaches the kids to prepare and to focus in, and each week is an individual, unique challenge. It could be things that they have to do, especially, they're not professionals, so they have all kinds of things they got to do extracurricularly based on the clubs they belong to, based on the classes that they're in. They got to go to this, they got to go to that. Each week is different for each individual kid, so getting them together and focusing from week to week, it truly is a season within itself every single week. And you got to approach it that way, and I think the teams that do that the best are teams that are the most successful.
Now, Coach, as a staff, when you guys reach the final Saturday there after Week 11, it's basically off time until practice starts again in the fall of the next year, right?
Right, yeah.
Vacation?
Not at all.
I wanted to thank you for bringing your recruiting coordinator on a couple of weeks ago.
Sure.
Had a great conversation with Ben, and certainly looking forward to the new faces you guys will be bringing into Ranger football. I bring that up because homecoming week's a great opportunity to show off, and I noticed that there were quite a few parents with some maybe potential recruits.
Yeah, we had an unofficial game day visit. We had 40 potential student athletes there, and it was a great group. High-level kids that would be great Rangers, and some of them will be. So it was great showing for us, for them to get to see us win like that, and kind of for me, old school Northwestern days,
Back to the power run.
I mean, honestly, it was defense and run game. And that's what we won with it back in the day. So it felt like one of those older games. And the recruits got to see that. They got to see the new facilities. They got to see all the coaches, talk to them. It was really, truly a great day for the future of our program.
It was a great day and a great win. Let's get into the final thoughts segment, Jesse. Mine's pretty simple. Coach, final thoughts coming up this weekend, back-to-back home games, hoping to see a big crowd again, I'm certain. But I want to talk about the feeling that you had to have in that game. You guys are up 21-0. You're the offensive coordinator. You've grown up knowing the offensive side of football very, very well. Are those the funnest games to call? Feels like just everything you throw out there works.
Yeah, no, everything did not work. This is get it right there. It makes it easy.
Gentry's play was kind of a special play, though, was it not?
It was. No. It was a schemed play. It was wide open.
Oh yeah, ridiculously wide open.
So
I laughed.
What's funny about those? You design a whole bunch of those sometimes in case you are down and you got to score quickly. And that one worked really quick. We're only up 7-0. We did that one after a turnover, score.
But basically, we ran Jason Gentry down the field. Nobody covered him.
There was a lot more than that.
There was a lot more that went into it prior to that.
He said it was schemed.
But as the play-by-play guy, it was Miller takes the snap and look at this. Jason Gentry has the backside of the field all to himself.
Yeah, well, fortunately, we have a bunch of those. We have a bunch of those quick hitters, and we didn't have to use but one in the game, and we only did one. So, if you've seen us in previous games, we've done, East Central, we probably ran 10 of those quick hitter type plays trying to get a quick one to get us back in the game. When you're up and you're able to physically dominate a game, you don't have to do as many of those. And
this was a very physical game for you guys.
Yes.
Well, Coach, I've been impressed with you guys as a staff. I think your charisma in the games that you've been close in, the charisma in the games that you've lost, your charisma as winners has been phenomenal. I think you're a great representative of our school and a great representative to these kids.
I appreciate
That's mine.
that.
Jesse, all you.
Oh, well, why don't we just close it down right there? I know we only look at it 1 week at a time, but you've talked about all year long about how we're going to hit 4 out of the 5 guys there in the first 6 games, and we've got some of the biggest schools out of the way. If I told you right now that the last 5 games, the winning or the overall record was 13-17, does that make you smile a little bit, knowing that you've got 2 games out of the first 6, and you've got some opportunities and ways to kind of elevate yourself? Really, there's the Oklahoma meat of the schedules left. I know we take things 1 week at a time, but you survived that storm. You're not really injured. You're gelling, a lot better. Basically, you're going into the Southwesterns, the OBU, the SNU. You got a couple tough Arkansas school teams left to play that not everyone knew. Maybe the best team in the conference in Arkansas Tech coming in, and a Harding team that really no one knows where they're at. But your last 5 games, you really have an opportunity to make a mark your first season in.
Sure. We look at it. I mean, we do look at it week to week, but as the head coach, looking forward to the other Oklahoma schools, and again, like you said, on the road we go down to Harding and
Cersei.
Our players. They have been doing a great job of looking at 1 week at a time.
Well, and you're rewriting some of these things. I mean, just like you said, these guys, last year against Southeastern left up such a bad taste in your mouth that you just basically rewrote history. Now, as far as these guys are concerned, when they know that they're going to go to Durant, they're going to say, we beat these guys at home. It doesn't matter. We just drove 4 hours down here to Durant. This isn't that big of a deal. And you need some of those games. I mean, we've had that success at Monticello since we joined the conference. We play real good out at their place, and I think we play there again.
Of course, everybody knows that we just don't lose to SNU.
Oh, well, I know. Rangers,
1 week away.
Ranger South.
Foreshadowing.
Ranger South.
There we go.
But the point is that, you get a chance, and that's what you've kind of been undoing. You want your guys to believe every week they get a chance to win a football game.
Yeah,
sometimes history kind of weighs on them because they remember or they see the guy on the other side of the line that was there last year who put that hit on them or just burn them or whatever the deal is, and you're trying to untrain some of that.
And that's
stuff.
the biggest thing we've been doing. It is like reprogramming a computer. We're trying to reprogram their entire thought process, and that going into the season, that's what we were going to. That's what our focus was. And maybe we didn't get it out against Southern Arkansas or Wichita, but
East Central and Southeastern.
Southeastern.
Oh yeah, Henderson as well.
Those. Our kids, they're believing. They're believing in what they're doing, believing in themselves probably more than they have ever. And that goes a long way.
It wouldn't be too much of a stretch for one of your players to think, gosh, a couple different plays and we're 4-2, not 2-4. Because that's really all it is.
Sure.
You don't get that called, that call at East Central, and some things changed. In that Henderson game, I'm not saying that they did everything they could to give us that, but that definitely elevated our squad up when they knew they could play with Henderson.
Sure.
I would say, and the guys already had that same potential. They didn't get better that day. They just, they did, but they didn't.
They mentally got better, and that's just as good as physical.
Mentally, they just really said, oh my gosh, this Henderson team. So, I that's what I like, and what the best thing about that is that the second half of this schedule is set up so much better because a long trip out to Harding could be a great game if you guys, if things are still rolling along and if you keep this thing going. We're talking 1 week at a time. We got to beat a team that we've never played before.
Going to be a great trip for us, regardless.
I don't know. I remember the last time I was there. It was very monumental.
We've talked a lot about the receivers. Were you satisfied?
You said last thought. You're done.
I know. Go. Are you satisfied with the drops this week?
Satisfied with drops.
See, there you go. Should have quit.
Were you satisfied with the lack of drops?
Doing too much right now, Matt. Doing too much.
He just couldn't let me have the last thought. He didn't know how to get out.
I forgot to ask.
He didn't know what to do.
We had two. One of them would have been a great catch by Horatio Smith on a quick slant. It was a high ball and it was hard. It would have been a great catch by him. We counted his drop because it did touch his fingers. And Schombacher dropped one. Those are our two, and he doesn't do that very often.
Rare.
So,
gosh, we almost went an entire broadcast without you mentioning Schombacher's name.
You can't go and broadcast a Ranger broadcast without.
Yeah, he already did. He said 5 catches for our.
He reads off stats. That's not even fair.
Well, he did say, and usually that stat.
that's not the way he normally brings him up.
He's usually at the top of that stat. So.
Twitter, lighten up with this one. Any rumors? Any truth to the rumors that the Rangers are going to come out with Power Eye next week? With this new rush first offense.
We were going to try the old wishbone, but I don't know enough about it.
Well, Coach, we're looking forward to seeing you at home again on Saturday. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff. 1 o'clock we'll start our broadcast. We appreciate your time.
He said Al Hunt would love this offense.
He would. Hey, I'll tell you what. Al Hunt would dominate in this offense.
Let's get him a jersey.
Yeah, he probably
still
play.
He has some.
He probably could still play.
Wouldn't surprise me. Al's a specimen.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it. Jesse, 1 o'clock on Saturday. Oklahoma Baptist in town for the first time at the Great American Conference.
1
o'clock pregame, 2 o'clock kickoff.
There we go.
Yep.
Certainly hoping to see a big crowd out there.
Yeah, if everyone shows up at 1 o'clock because of you, then they get mad. I'm going to blame
tailgate and have fun.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
All right,
tour the press box.
For the coach, for Jesse, for Michael Collins back in studio, I'm Matt Adair. Thanks for joining us on Inside the Lines, and have a good night, Ranger Nation.